Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you some of the Stephen King books which I do want to read as soon as possible. I own 4 of these books and other 5 books which I'm going to speak about in this video are those which I don't own. So if you have read any of these books, please do let me know how they are so I can go in with an idea. Of some of these books, I don't even have what the story is actually about. So if someone has read any of these books, I'd highly request you to drop your comments because I don't have any idea of what I'm getting into. So without any further ado, let's get into the list. First, let's just see some of the books which I actually own. Some of how to say 5 of the books I don't own. I'm just going to speak about those, and I'm most excited about those books rather than these 4. And let's just start with the books that I actually own. The first one is Cujo. In Cujo, we have this family who also have a dog. They are a very small family, parents and a small child who's their son. And once when they go and visit a place, their dog is infected by a bat. I think he's rabid then, and things happen. That's all that I know about Cujo. I know that it's a very thrilling, yes, yet grotesque story. I started reading this. I read like 20 to 30 pages of the book. There was a lot of things that were too much related to America during the 90s and 80s, which I was not able to get because there were a lot of references to that. Even if it's India in 80s, 90s, I'm not that much relatable to them because I grew up in the 2000s, right? So it's not possible for me to relate to those things in America. Yet I like the beginning of the story. I don't know why I put this down, but definitely I'll be reading this year. The next book is Hearts in Atlantis. Now in this book we have 5 stories which happen over the period between 1966 and 1999, and there are 5 stories that are shown in this book, and they are like sequential stories. At the end of one story, the other story begins, and there's a huge arc comprising which will fulfill the 5 stories and interconnect them together. I don't know how he has worked them out, but after reading it, I'm pretty confident that he'll be able to manage any shit in this world because that was such a different kind of ride. I'll not be even able to describe how it was, but I do want to read this. This is one of those books which are very much recommended when it comes to Stephen King books. So if you know something about this, do let me know it in the comments below because I want to know certain stuff. Okay, the next book is Lizzie's story. Now in this book we have a woman named Lizzie who's a widow right now, and 25 years before the story actually is taking place, she was married to an author, a writer, and there were like 2 sides for this writer. Okay, he was a really good husband and really good person, really good writer in one side, and there was a darker side for him, which he endured mostly on his own and sometimes with his wife as well. This is a story in which she relives those moments that happened 25 years back in her life as an old person, and that intrigues me a lot because it is about trauma, and I love reading stories about trauma. I'm such a sadist when it comes to things like that, and I think this is going to be a fun ride for me, though it might seem or sound sadistic, but I want to read this a lot. The last book which I own actually is Bag of Bones. First, there is a funny story behind buying this book. Okay, actually I thought that Bag of Bones was actually a short story collection, okay, before buying this book. And just before making this video, I've actually read the synopsis before also. I didn't get an idea of what the book was about then, and me being dumb, I read it again, and now I found that it is not actually a collection of short stories. It's just a single story, and I messed it up with something else in my head. And this is about a story about a writer also, okay, and his wife has died very recently. Due to that, he is having so many blanks in his mind, of which he's not able to write stories anymore. He's not able to maneuver through stories as he used to in the part of the story before when his wife died. And there are also a lot of things that are going on in the background which do get interconnected, and I've heard that this book need not have been this long, yet when it comes to Stephen King, he just writes big books alone, okay, and I like that to some extent. Another thing which I liked so much about this book's cover is this thing. Okay, not many authors get that their photos print up in the back of the cover. I have seen certain authors' photos popping up inside the book's cover when it comes to Indian books, but I've not seen any authors' photos like this. Okay, I've seen certain authors' photos also. They'll be somewhere over here or somewhere over here. something like that. But this is the only book which I have with an author's photo that is this big. I suggest you to do this because the author at least deserves that. Not people like him. Okay, he's so famous. See, I'm not even able to see the title of the book down there. I can only see King here on huge block letters. Even if I zoom in, I'm able to see Stephen King, not Bag of Bones in a big size. And that's what I have as a suggestion. Please do put the author's photos on the back of the book. So if I like that person, I'd like to see their picture. I don't want to go to Google and search the images always. Okay, so try to do this if any publisher is ever watching this. Moving on to the books which I don't actually own. This is the most famous and the book which I need to read before I die. Okay, whatever happens, I need to read this book. I might read it and not like it. I might hate it. I might love it. I don't know what will happen, but I definitely need to read it. And it is Pet Sematary by Stephen King, which is his most famous novel. And in this, I watched the latest movie of Pet Sematary. Okay, I have not watched the old movie. I have watched the recent one alone. I didn't enjoy it that much. Okay, I'm just being true and honest. I didn't enjoy that movie that much. It was good. Okay, it was engaging, but I didn't enjoy it to such an extent. I think the book will be better. But this story has a family who move into a different house, and this house is situated in a highway kind of an area where a lot of heavy duty vehicles pass through, and they always go in high speeds. So it is very risky to live there. What happens is the couple's daughter, she dies due to truck running over her, and this story is mostly based on the main character, that is the father of the girl, going through his grief, how he digests the grief of his daughter passing away. That's kind of a good story if you ask me, and I want to read this for sure. The next book is also another one which I have to read before I die. Okay, and it is The Shining. I don't know anything about The Shining. I have not watched the movie or anything. Okay, I just know that it is a story which has a lot to do with boilers and blood. Okay, boilers and blood. It itself seems so savage and so horrifying. I want to read that book for sure. I'm sure that at least one person who has been subscribed to my channel might have read The Shining, and please do let me a short synopsis in the comments without any spoilers at all if you have read it, because I highly want to know about this book for sure. The next book is Misery. This is also one which I have to read before I die, because it is also about a writer. Okay, it is about a writer who has been kidnapped by one of his fans, and he's he's like held hostage by the fan, and the fan is not a normal person. She is one who has a lot of mental instabilities, and she's like physically hurting the writer. Okay, the writer is physically tormented by her, and is I'm not even able to describe it in words. It is I know that it's going to be such a hard to read story, and it has a lot of pain and blood and physical horror in it, and that's one of the main reasons I want to read the story, because I want to see how he has put all those horrible things together and made it such a beautiful story. So if you have read Misery, do tell me how it is. The next one is Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is also a huge book like it, and as soon as I finished reading it, I wanted to have some views about the book. So usually when I am not going to review a book, what I do is I just search for some of the booktube reviews and watch them. There are not that much reviews available for Stephen King books, because most of them are old, right? So people don't read them, and if also people do read them, the reviews are not to that much quality. Yet I do watch them because I just want the opinions of the books, not the person who's speaking about it or how they speak about it. I just want their opinions and their ideas of how the book is and how they felt about the book, and I want to see if I have understood anything wrong, or the things which I have understood are actually the things that have been said by the author. For those things I watch them. And when I watched something about Salem's Lot, the hardcover of that book was like this big. Okay, it was like this big when I saw it in a YouTube video, and I was that itself was like it was like calling to me, come and read me right now. And I was like, okay, I'll read you as soon as I can. And it is an apocalyptic story about America in the future, and there are a lot of things going on like vampires and stuff and many things. That itself intrigues me a lot. So if you have read Salem's Lot, also tell me about that. The last one which I have to read by Stephen King is the Dark Tower series. This is a 7-book long series. It is a part of the Stephen King universe. If you didn't know already, all the books that have been written by Stephen King are part of his own universe in which he has written all these stories, and they are interconnected to each other in some way or the other. It is like a huge spider web with bits and pieces that interlink all the stories together. And it is said that if you're a huge fan of Stephen King and you've read all of his other books, you'll not be able to enjoy the Dark Tower series more, though you'll be able to get a lot of details from the other stories and references from other stories. It is said that if you're reading the Dark Tower alone, there's a very big chance that you will be loving the story. And I want to love that story, I want to love that series, because it is a dark series and I want to read it. That's all. Okay, so those were all the 9 Stephen King books or series which I need to read whenever possible. I want to read them as soon as possible. If you have read any of these books, don't forget to mention your opinions of those books in the comments below, so I'd be getting an idea of what the books are actually about and then get into the story. If you found this video enjoyable and interesting, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.